everyone. I am Drew, a student at Oakland Community College. Today, I will be taking you all through an important series of events that happened between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. When discussing World War II, particularly in the relation of Nazi Germany's demise, we often overlook the crucial conflict between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. The events that took place between Joseph Stalin's Soviet Union and Adolf Hitler's Nazi Germany from August 1939 to May 1945 were one of the most important developments of the Second World War, which ultimately led to the collapse of Nazi Germany and the end of Hitler's reign. The three most crucial events or points of conflict between the two sides are the clash of their ideologies, the Non-Aggression Pact, and Operation Barbarossa. The tension between Stalin and Hitler stems from the fact that these two dictators represent political ideologies that are on opposite ends of the political spectrum. Stalin, who represented communism, and Hitler, who represented fascism, saw each other as their ultimate enemy. Both Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin were prominent leaders during the Second World War. They were known for their harsh rule and major effects on world history. Hitler became Chancellor of Germany as the head of the Nazi Party. He had a very extreme and racist perspective on non-Aryans, especially Jewish people. Stalin, on the other hand, evolved into the leader of the Soviet Union. He pushed for a communist ideology that called for a society without classes and state power over the means of production. The Nazi Party under Hitler believed in a very extreme and racist philosophy. Stalin's Soviet Union wanted to create a society without classes and state control. Hitler tried to expand German power, which led to the Second World War. Stalin, on the other hand, worked to increase Soviet power. The political goals of the two dictators in Europe eventually saw them come into direct conflict. In 1939, Joseph Stalin and Adolf Hitler signed a non-aggression pact known as the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. This agreement was a surprising development in international relations at the time. The non-aggression pact detailed that both sides would not attack each other. Also, the two sides secretly agreed to take over countries that lay between the two nations. The world at the time was in shock that the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany would agree to such a thing, as both sides viewed each other as their ultimate adversary. Hitler had no plans to follow through on the 10-year non-aggression deal with the Soviet Union. Without worrying about a Soviet attack, the pact let Germany focus on its goal of overtaking Poland and beating France and Great Britain. Hitler's long-term plan was to attack the Soviet Union and make sure that the Germans could live in lands they took. This shows that Hitler saw the non-aggression pact as a short-term and tactical move. He always planned to break the deal in the end to achieve his expansion goals. However, the pact was eventually broken by Hitler by launching Operation Barbarossa. Then came June of 1941, when Hitler did the unthinkable by invading the Soviet Union. The German army launched the largest invasion in history with 3.8 million soldiers, called Operation Barbarossa. This plan was the most ambitious of Hitler's conquests during the Second World War. The start of the invasion was very successful for the German military. They were quickly able to penetrate deep into Soviet territory due to them being better equipped and trained than the Soviet army. Germans easily pushed back the Soviet forces until they reached Stalingrad, the city named after Joseph Stalin, who refused to let the city fall, and in the process sacrificed countless lives to keep it from falling into German hands. The Soviet military, through hardship, was able to hold on to a part of the city. The fighting became stagnant for months, and finally, by February of 1943, the Soviets were able to fully retake the city. This was a turning point for the Soviets. From that point on, the Soviets were able to push west, capturing German territory along the way, all the way to the German capital of Berlin. The Soviet army finally took over Berlin in May of 1945. Adolf Hitler killed himself in his bunker, and the reign of the Third Reich had come to an end. The gamble Hitler took by trying to invade the Soviet Union costed him very dearly and ultimately led to his downfall. These events of the Second World War were very crucial in the Allies winning the Second World War.